Hi humans, it is I, Kaiba the Pug. I'm here today just to do a quick warning for you guys. If you ever see this, it's a warning for you guys ahead of a video that's about to be shown. Um, this video that I is going to put out now, it probably has some sensitive stuff. Some stuff that might talk about things that might make you sad or affect your mental health in bad ways. It's not because we don't love you. It's just sometimes we have to talk about these things. And when we do, we want to make sure that you guys are okay. So, if you have some troubles with your mental health, or if you are affected pretty easily by some sensitive subjects, then there will be time in the video at the start for you to skip to, or if there isn't a time at the start of the video for you to skip to, then maybe this is a video that you should just skip, just to be safe. And, as a word of advice, if you guys are having a hard time, my word of advice to you is to get ice cream. Daddy got ice cream for me today, and it made everything better. See, I'm all better. So, if you need it, go get yourself some ice cream, and give yourself some love, because you all deserve some love. And if you do watch the video, thank you for watching. Okay, love you humans. This is my warning. I think I'm done now. Bye-bye. Good afternoon, Puggy lovers, and magic players, and everybody else who loves our channel because you're awesome. I was going to go live today. I thought it'd be really fun to do a live stream for once in a change, but I noticed that a couple of people that I like a lot, in terms of content creators, are streaming live now. And while part of me, just really isn't super eager to socialize in somebody else's stream, I also don't want to be the kind of person who steps on a friend's toes, per se, and possibly divides their audience. Not that I think necessarily a lot of the people would leave either Gaming Grandma's stream or Cosmos' stream. But I mean, you never know, stranger things have happened. I forgot that I wanted to... just 1 second, let's see if I can actually... There we go. Put on the do not disturb so that we will not get calls and stuff while I'm trying to record this, because I've been having a lot of issues with people on the phone lately too. Hey, Kaiba. You getting up to say hi? Or are you just gonna doze back off? Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're a good boy. Oh, what a good boy. So, if I had done a live stream today, the original plan was to do 3 things. And I'm going to do 2 of those things in a video today, and then the third one I'm going to put into a post for you guys to vote on. And we'll go from there. First, well, bonus, we're definitely doing some puggy belly rubs apparently, and getting some awesome puggy love in. Oh, my beautiful boy. Somebody is very, very sad because it's been raining on and off all day, and his little pile of snow is down to like the last tiny little bit. He'll be gone by the end of the weekend, and he won't have any more snow. This winter has sucked. I am really, really hoping we get a nice batch of snow in time for his birthday, because I'm going to be really disappointed if he has to have a birthday without snow. I actually booked his birthday off of work so I can spend the whole day with him on his birthday. I'm going to go work my birthday because I don't really give a crap about my birthday. I don't like celebrating my birthday at all, really, to be honest. In fact, the pack battle that I plan to do for my birthday is probably the biggest thing that I plan to do for it. And this happens to be my 40th birthday, so I have no desire to do like a big party with friends or anything, because I only have a couple of real friends that like I've met in real life and hung out with, whereas like a lot of the people that I am friends with and love on the internet, I've just gotten no way to get like over to visit per se or hang out with, and not really interested in doing too much with my family per se. Want to do stuff with my pug, of course, but sorry, Kaiba. Didn't mean to cough and scare you. But yeah. So in terms of what I wanted to do with this live stream, actually there were 4 things I was going to do with it. First off, I was going to do an update on the campaign. I did post a campaign update to the actual thing itself, and I've posted a link now to the... Oops, how did I do that? Ah, that's interesting. Did not know I could turn on the flash while I'm recording. I've also posted a link to it into the channel description now, so hopefully that will get some views. The basic update is that I did make the first payment on my own, and the second payment I will probably use the donations that I've received so far, so many thanks to those who've helped out. And then I don't know what I'm going to do from there. Hopefully I won't have to sell anything, but I'm really not sure. I'm really hoping that taxes will go my way, but I have a bad feeling that they're going to go the opposite way for me, and I'm going to be really screwed at that point, so I don't know. Anyways, I'm trying to wait on worrying about that for now. And in the meantime, in between time, the other things I wanted to talk about are that I wanted to do a quick update regarding the Pokemon playthroughs that I'm going to be beginning doing. My dad actually found not my old Game Boy, but he found his old Game Boy Color and a bunch of the games, including a couple of the Pokemons. Unfortunately, the crystal that he found, I don't really like gold that much. Gold was always my brother's game. I was always the silver guy. But when Crystal came out, we both got a copy of it, and I'm not sure whether it's my copy or his copy, but whoever's copy it is of Silver that is in the box over here that my dad found. When I played the Crystal, it does not save. So I played for like 2 hours the other day just to like give it a playthrough and see if it would go through without like glitching and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And then I went to play with it the next day, and it did not retain my game. So we are definitely going to be using my cell phone to do the playthroughs for Pokemon Crystal, and we're going to be using the hacked version, unfortunately, but it is what it is. It is it's the perfect like complete version. There's no like glitches or anything in it. The only issue is that the controls are a little wonky on the screen, but I will work it with it. So there will be a post at some point this weekend. I'm filming this on Friday, but I'm probably going to post it tomorrow. There will be a post for which starter I should use in the first run through. Whether I should use the Feraligatr, or Totodile, I mean, sorry, Chikorita, or what's the other one? Cyndaquil. I always, when I played through on my own, most times I either used grass or water. I've very rarely ever played fire. But my goal with those streams is I'm going to play through the game 3 times, one with each starter. And each time I play through, I cannot catch the same Pokemon twice unless it's a key component to the gameplay. Like, if I need a Pokemon to trade, for example, I can catch the same Pokemon twice for that, because the trades are available in all run-throughs, so that seems only fair. But aside from things like that, I'm not going to catch the same Pokemon twice, probably. Or at least that's the game plan. So I'm going to have to keep track of all the different ones, but... Anywho. Yes, you're a good boy. Yes, you're awake now, eh? I will take you out in a little bit, okay? We're going to make this video first. Yeah, you're a good boy. I want to get this done before your buddy Perry comes home. After that, I'm all yours the rest of the day. Okay? Anywho. Aw. Mm. Good boy. I'm never sure if those kisses actually get on the camera or not. I don't tend to watch back my videos a lot of the time just because I really don't like the sound of my own voice, to be honest. That's why I don't do VC voice calls in Discord and stuff like that, because I just do not like the sound of my own voice. But Kaiba likes the sound of my voice. And you guys like Kaiba. So it all works out. The other things we're here to do today are twofold. One, we're going to look at this video, and I want to respond to it because I actually have another idea for the channel that I think will be fun, but I'm trying to gauge interest. I'm also going to do it personally for myself, but I still want to know if it would be something that you guys would be interested in hearing about, seeing updates, video clips, etc. But I'm planning to do it personally for myself regardless, and that is based on this video, which is pretty cool. And then lastly, I have a couple packs of Avatar and a couple more packs of Avatar. It's been a pretty rough week for my depression, social anxiety, and in particular, a wonderful little condition that I have called, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on YouTube, because I know you're not supposed to use that word. How can I say it? I have this weird, I'm not going to name what it's called, but I'm going to just explain it briefly. Basically, if I stand and watch cars going by on a road for too long, my brain will automatically imagine me, like my subconscious will trigger my imagination and picture me walking into traffic. So I have to like avoid certain things because I know that it will trigger these weird feelings and images in my mind, and it'll affect my depression essentially. And something happened in one of the Discord servers this week that really kind of upset me per se and had me thinking about that kind of stuff a lot this week. And it took a lot for me to actually make it through the whole week after that happened. But I did it. I didn't take any days off this week. I'm really proud of myself. Because I've definitely been really depressed, especially Wednesday and Friday were really bad. Thursday actually wasn't so bad. I had like a brief bumper day where I was actually pretty happy for a bit and then crashed out hard in the afternoon. But so essentially what happened is I had to go shopping for a couple things at the Walmart, and as I mentioned before, I have a gift card for my aunt. So I grabbed a couple of Walmart packs today. So these packs were printed and sealed in the US. These packs are from the booster box, and they were printed and sealed in Japan. And so we're going to do like a brief like pack battle 2-on-2 just to see which Avatar stuff is better. And that is going to be the video. So we're going to do those things, and we're going to check out this video, and I'm going to present the other idea. And then I'm going to get Kaiba out because he's going to pitch a fit. And then hopefully, if there's still time, I can hop into either Cosmos's or Grandma's stream. Cosmos will likely be done for the day by the time I get out of here, but Grandma might still be going. I'm going to put a link to both their channels in this description just because they're both awesome streamers, and I think that you guys would have a lot of fun checking out their stuff. But this video is by, if I remember correctly, it's... Oh, what's the channel called? Something MT... or... Mouse, come here. Let me shrink this down so I can see the channel name. And then we'll put the video back up. Unpopular MTG. I knew it was something MTG. This is by Unpopular MTG, and I think this is a really interesting video, and I think that the concept that he presents here, I'm going to be doing it for some different reason, a more personal reason, but I think that what he presents here is a really interesting experiment that a lot of people might be interested in trying to give a shot to. Did you just knock open the door? Did you just scare yourself? Yeah, did you just scare yourself? Yeah. Right as I was about to start the video, you tried to grab your alligator in the corner there, and you pushed open the door, and now you scared yourself? Yeah. You're okay. I know. I know. Oh, baby. Come here. Come here. You're okay. I promise. The door won't hurt you. The door is fine. Yes, you're fine, and the door is fine, and everything is good. Okay? Yeah? Good boy. Alright. Daddy's gonna start this video. Is that okay? Can Daddy start the video? Yeah. I know. You want attention and love. I promise you're gonna get lots of attention and love this weekend. Daddy's decided he's not gonna do a Super Deck Sunday this week. That was the other thing I wanted to announce. I'm going to probably take a few days off of videoing and recording after this video. Um, Again, just because of everything that's happened this week, I'm just really stressed and tired. I just want to spend some time with Kaiba. I do have a few Kaiba related stuff for you guys in the like recorded and saved on the phone already, so I'll probably put some of that stuff out during the next like 3 or 4 days. But I'm not going to do Super Deck Sunday. And I haven't decided yet whether I want to do Jumpstart Your Day on Monday or not. I was going to actually skip Jumpstart Your Day today. Again, I'm recording this on Friday, so yesterday potentially for you guys. But I'm glad that I didn't skip that pack because the spoilers, but the Boomy pack was insanely good for me. It like really boosted my morale. And it's a big part of why I'm doing this right now, instead of just putting out a post today saying that I'm taking a week off. Um, I'm gonna try and do Dollarama Draws of Destiny on Tuesday if I feel a little bit better by then. But I really just need a weekend to myself with Kaiba, hanging out and just trying to get my head straight again. Okay, back to this. So this video is called I Played Commander by myself for a year, here's what changed. And in this video, just to give you a quick synopsis, he's going to present 5 major things that he noticed that were different about how he plays Commander now compared to how he played Commander before, because he took a year off and played entirely by himself. So what he would do is he would take 4 different decks, and he would play all 4 decks equally hard, and it honed his skills in a way that was really unique. And as I say, I'm not necessarily looking to hone my skills quite to the extent that he did, but what I am looking to do is actually improve my desire to want to be social. Um, right now, I'm just not in the mood to do a lot of social things. This channel is basically my social output. I go to work, I do what I need to in terms of like going to grocery stores, going to like medical appointments, stuff like that. I come home and I basically veg out for the rest of the day because my social gas tank, to put it into like a random term, is running usually like almost empty by the time all that's done. So my desire to go to the card shop, for example, has been non-existent for the last like few months, other than the occasional pre-release, which I like. I really haven't been playing a lot of Commander at the card store, and even getting online and playing like in the professor's Discord server, I'm just not feeling it right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way other people play Commander versus the way that I perceive Commander. And I've talked about that before, where I'm just like, I'm a little bit different in terms of how I enjoy the game. And I enjoy it more for like the deck building aspects. So when I play against people, I really want to see what their decks can actually do. And so when one person just runs away with a game, it kind of disappoints me because then I don't get to see what the other 2 people have. Like I like a game that will go for like 2 or 3 hours. Whereas a lot of people prefer that if a game goes past 2 hours, they just call it quits because they just think that that's a waste of their time, essentially. Like, I don't know. I'm different, like I say, as you probably can tell. So, I want to go through this guy's video, and we're going to open these packs. And, yeah, here we go. Hopefully my volume
My
is
wife
up.
and I moved
Good.
away from Chicago after having our first baby. It honestly kicked my butt, and at the same time, I was switching jobs too, so everything just felt so up in the air. I stopped playing Magic altogether, plus, with some struggles our newborn had, it kept me home at nights, so I never played at stores. One night after this had been going on for several months, I cleared off my desk, I got out four of my decks, and I just played Magic by myself. It was honestly a little different experience, but it just felt so good to be playing Magic again. I started to do this literally every night, and I had so much fun. I was
So I like the premise of this. It's I feel like it's similar to me, but slightly different. Obviously, I clearly did not have a child. What happened with me, as you guys well know, if you're familiar, if you've been with the channel any length of time, my partner and I split up, and after she and I split up, I got a job out east, and then that job fell through, and my depression just really started kicking my butt, and I moved back here, and I tried to go to a few card stores here, and the experience here was very different than the experience that I had out east. Out east, people played a lot more to my style, where it was like most decks were probably like back in the day. This would have been power levels. So we're talking power levels, let's say 4 to 7 at the store. There were some people who ran their high power stuff, and if they played their high power stuff, they played by themselves. But like there was one table where like 8 people would come together every week and play power 5 game or power 6 game, and they'd be there for like 3 or 4 hours at night, and they would play like an 8 pod. Like that's the kind of stuff that I loved. Whereas my experiences here since I moved back have been more, it's a little more cutthroat. It's a little more go for the win than what I prefer. So that's what turned me off per se, whereas he just had a lack of ability to play because of time constraints and relocation. So relocation is similar for both of us, but anyways, I am going to apologize because there will be the occasional
building new
ad since I
decks on the
pause a lot.
daily. I was tweaking my current decks every night. I was optimizing them and just playing for a few hours at night, and it was just a great time. I actually do think back on those days very fondly and pretty often, and I can honestly say that those were some of the most fun times I've ever had playing Magic ever since I began in 2010. I was digging in my card collection every single night. I was excited to throw them in, try them in my decks, and I was just enjoying the game of Magic for what it is. Yeah, there wasn't a social gathering aspect involved, but it did give me time to gather my own thoughts, and it just brought tons of joy and peace in a time that was otherwise a very difficult time of my life. When I finally
Here comes that first ad. Ironic because I am not going to listen to that ad. This was actually where I was about to pause it anyways, so that worked out perfectly. Oh, we'll just skip ahead, and then we'll.
when I finally started going to the LGSs again and playing with family and friends during the holidays, I was actually amazed at how much I was winning and how much better my decks did when I played against real people as opposed to just playing against myself. I did boil down my experience of playing Magic by myself. It was over like hundreds of hours over a year and a half into what I'd say were five takeaways on how this made me better at the game and specifically Commander. So the first takeaway and thing that made me
Okay, good. It paused. So before he starts doing his takeaways, why I am really interested in this is actually this creator, and I also have had a very similar experience with regards to um playing games in terms of playing by ourselves. Um, History for those who are fairly new to my channel. My channel originally was about Yu-Gi-Oh because Yu-Gi-Oh was my favorite card game for pretty much my entire life. I discovered Yu-Gi-Oh when it first came onto the TV as an anime when I was like 12, Bought my first few packs from I think they were Korean, um, Eat Quickie Mart in my hometown, and basically fell in love with the game the moment I opened my first pack and pulled a Garnesia Elephantis. And from that point on, I was hooked on Yu-Gi-Oh! Loved the card game, but progressively over time, the changes to the card game in terms of like rules, structure, even deck limit sizes and things like that, plus a lot of the newer cards that they introduced, completely warped the game into something that I just did not enjoy anymore. So there came a time where instead of going to card stores, I would just bust out my Yu-Gi-Oh decks and I would play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh or a couple games of Yu-Gi-Oh every weekend and just chill. And I would play. Um, you've seen you've seen my ADHD deck. I play that deck against, say, the Gravekeepers deck that I have. I would play my All Dragons deck versus my Forest and Gem Knight, or not Gem Knight, Crystal Beast deck. Like, and I would just have so much fun doing that for hours at a time. And I think that I really enjoyed that. I'm not sure whether it may be a better Yu-Gi-Oh player necessarily, but what I really enjoyed about that was just the fact that I could actually play the game that I loved, and um I didn't have to worry about power creep. I didn't have to worry about people complaining about the size of my deck or anything like that. Um, I didn't have to worry about checking to see what cards had recently been banned or permitted back into the game. I just play what I owned and had fun. And that's what I really loved. And I did that for years. And I haven't played any card games, even by myself against myself, for a very long time. And I don't know why, but this video just, well, I do know why. This video inspired me to want to go back to that because he just really seems like he had so much fun doing it, and I want to go back to feeling that way again. So my hope is that if I pursue something similar to this, regardless of whether it becomes a thing on the channel or not, if I pursue something similar to this, my hope is that eventually it will encourage me to want to go back to the LGS, want to play more online, and get back into the Commander game that I really enjoy because I do like Commander. Despite all of its flaws, despite all of the issues with Universes Beyond, with the bracket system, whether I agree with things, disagree with things, whatever, um, despite the limitations in terms of game changers and other stuff, setting all that aside, I like the concept and the basic thing that is Commander because essentially, in my opinion, with the exception of the land base issue, Commander is very much the same as Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, yeah, you have spells and traps in Yu-Gi-Oh versus instants and sorceries and magic. You've got field spells instead of enchantments. But like the general concept of the game where you just attack your friends and protect yourself and try to build an army and just have fun slinging creatures, and that stuff's just so good. And I want to get that back. So I'm going to go more into depth on what I plan to do later on, but right now, just so you know, that's why I'm talking about this stuff and why we're watching this video. I'm going to watch his first 2 points, and then we're going to rip. Actually, you know what? After each point he presents, I'm going to rip a pack. So, and then we'll finish up with his last point and then my idea. So here we go. Point number 1.
Better when I came back was I realized that people do not really remove commanders as much as they should. When you play by yourself, you are not scared of offending people or someone whining. You just make the right play. Here's what I mean by this. Like, the first thing that I did notice in my very first game back is that my commanders actually stayed on the battlefield. Like, it was crazy. And it wasn't just a one time fluke experience, it was every single game. Every game I played, my commander stayed on the battlefield for multiple turns, which never happened when I played games by myself. It was as if people were like, I don't know, scared to remove commanders without a valid cause or something like that. Or they just waited until the person had a scary board state, then they deemed them as a valid target, and then at that point try and remove the commander. But at that point, it's usually too late. I think this can be for many reasons, but I personally believe that one of the big reasons people do this is because they're worried or they've had bad experiences in the past of people whining or complaining when you remove their commanders. I think we've all seen it. You know, someone gets mad and goes off about, why did you kill my commander for, quote, no reason? You know, when XYZ person over there is the actual threat, I can't believe it. And if it's not from either poor past experiences, it could just be a result of poor threat assessment. Or they feel like it's taboo to remove another person's commander.
I'm gonna say
Unless
that
it
I
is
feel
a
guilty
no
if I
kill on
remove a
site
person's
commander,
commander in the first
or
turn.
until, like I said, they wait until they're actually a threat, which by at that point it's
I will
usually
typically
too
wait
late.
at least
So
one turn
when I
cycle
played by
before I'll try and
myself
remove
with four
somebody's
decks,
commander unless
I
they
killed commanders
clearly are
before
going to
they were
benefit
a
from
threat,
owning it on
so
the
I had
field.
to build my decks accordingly and adjust my play style to not play my commander if I would be tapped out and had no form of protection. It also actually made me slot protection spells into all of my decks. A per-
That's really interesting. While this commercial's doing its thing, so what I was saying is, I personally will not attack or destroy a commander in the first turn that it comes out unless I know that if we leave it for even one cycle, we'll lose the game.
Miss Clara?
As I said, I like to see everybody do what they can
A
do,
perfect example
so
of
I like
this
to
is
leave
I
the
was
commander
playing with
alone
some
for a bit.
people and I brought out my Emoti deck and I was against a Roxanne Starfall Savant and a few others. Most of my Emoti deck is just ramp and a few other important things under 5 CMC. So I cast my commander with the hopes that I will pretty much always cascade into ramp or some other important effect. But this time I cascaded into a Mithril Coat, which is actually the worst roll that I can get for the first cascade in a game. And that's because Emoti isn't actually on the battlefield. So the auto equip doesn't see Emoti because it still hasn't resolved. And so it just doesn't work. But every other time that I cascade into a Mithril Coat, I'm very happy to see it. Anyways, in this game, I passed my turn with no protection for Emoti. I was tapped out, and the Roxanne player was just turboing, and they had a doubling season, and they made like 15 meteors in their turn. They used their meteors to kill off some other big threats, and for the very last trigger, I literally started to move my hand to pick up Emoti because, well, in my mind, that was the correct play. But nope, they dealt like 2 damage directly to someone's face to take them down to like 36 instead of 38. And so there I was. I retracted my hand immediately, you know. And in my mind, there was just absolutely no reason
So the
why
point that he's
Emoti should
presenting
have
here is
survived
just
that
like
turn.
his commander
But of
shouldn't have
course,
made it
you know, I
around
wasn't
the turn
complaining. I was
cycle,
really happy with that.
and because it
The
made it
next
around,
turn,
he
I
wins
had
the
6
game. He
mana. I
says,
cast
but
something big. I
I mean,
cascaded
honestly, like,
into an early harvest, which is practically an extra turn. I did some other
ooh,
stuff
early
that
harvest is a cool
cascaded
card.
into a
Want to get a
filter
copy of
route,
that?
which hosed the Roxanne and the Prosper players, and I had enough mana left over to recast Mithril Coat and protect Emoti. I ended up winning the game not long after that, and actually it was in large part because the damage that Roxanne did to everyone else, including myself, but at that point they had no answer to an indestructible Emoti, and it was too late because they missed their opportunity to remove it. So yeah, that's the first aspect that I realized is that people are just oftentimes too scared to remove someone's commander without what they deem to be a valid cause. But most of the time, if you wait for a valid cause, it's usually way too late.
So, I mean, again, I'm not going to say that he has no point there. Like, I've definitely lost a fair number of games in Commander, specifically because somebody got out their Commander. I was like, ooh, what does that do? And then they explained what it did, and I was like, ooh, I kind of want to see that. So I wait for one turn just to see what it does, and then by the time that second turn comes around where I could kill it, it's already way too late for me to do anything. So I totally get what he's saying here, and I get why if you're playing by yourself, like if I were playing by myself, I could see myself removing my own commander more frequently than I could seeing myself removing somebody else's commander at uh, a game shop or when I'm playing online. And I mean, to me, I think that might be just an etiquette thing. And I mean, he's like I say, he clearly is a little more competitive than I am, so he's eager to win the games, whereas me, I'm more eager to see what happens. But I still get his point, and I still think it's a very valid point. With that said, that was his first one, so we are going to open a pack of Avatar. I'm just going to put this, trying to balance it on my knee so that it doesn't fall over. I'm going to start with to borrow a phrase from my French friends, les états unis. US pack number 1. Let's see. The US packs, what I do like about them is I don't have to do the pack trick, so there's no chance of me spoiling it for myself if Avatar Aang happens to be in here, or any one of the really cool Avatar flip cards. We got ourselves a court official. That one's not bad. First time flyer. It's decent-ish. I mean, I like it. As long as you've got lessons, it's worth it. Airbending lesson. Ooh, yay. Monkeyatsu. I love that. Airbend target non-permanent. Draw a card. Yes. Good one. Pillar launch. Target creature gets +2/+2 and reach until end of turn. Untap it. Sure. Toph hated flying. Launching, however? Yeah. Fire Nation Cadets. Firebending 2 as long as you have a lesson card in your graveyard. Gets +2, or gets +1/+0 for every time you pay 2. Yeah. Cat Owl. 3 in a blue or white for flying 3/3, and whenever it attacks, you get to untap target artifact or creature. That's pretty solid. Earth Rumble Wrestlers. 3 and a red or green. Gets reach, +1/+0, and has trample as long as you control a land creature or land enter the battlefield. Ooh, Earth Kingdom General. I'm not sure if I pulled him yet. He is not a legendary, so I might have. Ooh, spoilers. Sorry. Sorry for the spoilers. Earthbend 2, and whenever you put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature, you may gain that much life. Only once per turn, but still pretty decent. Hey Bye! We pulled a second copy of Hey Bye! I love Hey Bye. And I'm really happy to have another copy of him. He enters the battlefield or attacks, you can sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, put 2 +1/+1 counters on him. And when he leaves the battlefield, its counters go on another creature you control. He's just a really cute bear. Beautiful bear! That gets really, really angry. Ruinous Waterbending. 1 and 2 black. As initial cost to cast this, you can waterbend 4. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, but if you paid the additional cost, whenever a creature dies this turn, you also gain 1 life. Nice. That's a really good hit. Honest Work. Nice. Zuko checking out the tea shop. Enchant creature an opponent controls. When this aura enters, tap enchanted creature, remove all counters from it. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a citizen with base power and toughness 1/1. And has the ability tap to add colorless. And it's named Humble Merchant. I like that. Trying not to spoil. Ooh, Hakoda! Yeah, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Next step, we're just going to leave it there. Vigilance, 3/5. This is like the third time I pulled him, but I mean, the more copies of him I have, the more decks I can slot it into. I do have a whole bunch of old school ally cards that I want to eventually build a deck around, so that's also cool. Our holo is Suki Kyoshi Warrior. I did spoil that by accident a couple times. Power equal to the number of creatures you control. Whenever she attacks, you get an ally, so that's pretty solid. We got the really nice swamp, and it's a holo. Beautiful. And an ally / clue. Not a bad pack, not a bad pack. Do I think that it is going to be the winning pack today? I don't know. Definitely got the US off to a good start, though. See if Japan can do anything about that after our next installment in this video. Part number 2.
A second thing that I noticed noticed, which is kind of like an inverse of the first, is that people rely way too much on their commanders. In most games, killing a commander 1 to 2 times is just a death sentence for so many deck builders. I know that kind of makes me sound like I'm a bad guy to play against. Like, I always target someone's commanders, which, no, that's definitely not the case. Like, I love people being able to play out their game plans, like their decks. But if your commander is actually a threat, then yeah, I'm not scared to point removal at it. But the point that I am making here is that if you remove someone's commander, even just once or twice, it's often very hard for them to come back from this because their decks are built with the assumption that they will have their commander on the battlefield. I think it's very easy in the deck building
I would say
process for
that
people to think that they make the decisions of what cards
yeah.
to include in the
Yeah.
99 on the pretense that things are going really well and the commander is going to be on the battlefield at the time of drawing the card. I think one of the biggest things that was helpful for me just playing by myself over a year is I knew what all of my decks were capable of.
I definitely can agree with him on this. Again, I would say probably at least 60, maybe even closer to 70% of my decks are all designed specifically around the commander being on the battlefield because I think the game kind of promotes that though. Like the game setting out your commander to be this one specific card that you can replay over and over again. It almost kind of twists your arm behind your back to a certain extent in that it's like if you're not going to run a commander, chances are your deck isn't going to work super well. Now, with that said, one of my favorite decks that I have built, and I have shown it on the channel a couple times. I'm not sure if I've updated it again recently or not. So I don't think I need to put a new video out about it anytime soon per se. But my all colored dinosaur deck, my 5-color dinosaur deck, the commander is completely irrelevant too. I couldn't care less if the commander is on the field other than it helps with some mana fixing issues. But beyond that, the commander has absolutely nothing to do with my deck because there just simply is not a 5-color card that really works well with dinosaurs in a specific way that I knew about at least. So there are decks that I've built that are like that where I put the commander in more so than anything else because I wanted the specific colors for that deck. But I would say outside of that, there's a really solid chance that my deck at least would like to have the commander on the field, if not depends on the commander being on the battlefield. So, again, a very solid point that he's making here.
So all of my commanders to myself were deemed as, kill on sight, and so I had to build my decks accordingly. This forced me to build decks that could function without my commander if it was removed, or if I needed to sandbag a bit until it was the right time to cast them and I could reasonably protect them. After like 8 months of playing by myself, I was playing a game at the holidays and I was against a Furcrag deck, and I noticed that the Furcrag player was drawing a card on like every single person's turn, and it had 0 protection, but people didn't mind. I think Furcrag is just one of those sneaky commanders because all the card draw doesn't happen at once, so people don't really realize how much it truly is drawing. So I ended up bouncing Furcrag to hand. Then on a later turn, I removed it because the goad was just generating so much insane value. I did win that game, and afterwards, the Furcrag player said, like, it is their highest win rate deck because most people really never remove it. And so they said, nice job on recognizing that and that it was weird and kind of difficult for their deck to come back from having to recast Furcrag a few times. The third...
Perfect timing for the commercial.
You need full dentures but can't deal with the endless expensive dentist visits? You need to see this. I used to hide my mouth.
I'm going to just pause it on that, and then I can hit the skip to go right back to the video. Kai was down here snoozing. He's having a nice little siesta. The sun has come back out, so as soon as I'm done here, I will get him out for an afternoon WALK before crashing myself probably for the day, to be honest, because it's already after 2. Holy moly. Alright, fine. I'll use the cheat tab. Japanese pack did not want to open. Still does not want to open. Look at this pack. This pack is like fighting me tooth and nail. Alright, Japanese pack. Alright, I'm not looking while I do the pack trick because I don't want to spoil it. So, token, land, hollow, special. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, here's hoping we did not... Well, here's hoping we do get one, but I did not look, so I don't know. And neither do you. Here comes pack number 2. Flexible Waterbender. 3 in the blue for Vigilance, Waterbend 3, and this thing has base power and toughness 5-2 instead of being a 2-5. I mean, I prefer it being a 2-5 personally, so I'm not going to probably do that. Whoop. Well, we're going to have this issue the entire video probably, but that's okay. Avatar Enthusiasts. 2 and a white for a 2-2. Whenever an ally enters the battlefield, you get +1/+1 on this. Okay. Only good in an ally deck, of course, but otherwise, you know. Merchant of Many Hats. 1 in a black, 2 in a black. Return it from your graveyard to your hand. It's a 2-2. Not bad. Fire Nation Cadets. We got it in both packs. It's decent. Wallop Sentries is actually a card I really do like a lot. 2-3 with Reach and Death Touch is a solid start. And then just to have the fact that when it dies, if there's a lesson card in your graveyard, you also get 2 life is a nice bonus. That drill shall not reach Bossing Say. This is what we trained for. So that's a decent one. The Borcupine is also a decent one. I've pulled a few copies of this now, so I don't really need a lot more of it per se by any means, but I mean, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this thing gets +1/+1 counters. That's pretty solid. Especially in a Spellslinger deck. Vindictive Warden, 2 in a black or red for a 2-3 with Menace, Firebending 1, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent if you pay 3. Nice. That'll definitely make it into my Firebending deck when I build it. Ooh, this is the first time I pulled this. The Last Agni Kai. Target creature you control fights target creature an opponent controls. If that creature an opponent controls is dealt excess damage this way, add that much red. Nice. Till end of turn, you don't lose unspent red mana. Ooh, this is really good. That definitely just beat the snot out of that for the most part. What else we got? We got Combustion Man. Ooh, 3 and 2 red for a 4/6. Whenever he attacks, destroy target permanent unless his controller also has a Combustion Man. Destroy target permanent unless its controller has Combustion Man. Deal damage equal to them to his power. Okay, so every time he attacks, I'm going to destroy a permanent regardless, but if somebody else has combustion, the person whose permanent gets destroyed has Combustion Man, then they don't get damaged, I'm guessing. I think that's how that works. That is a really interesting card. Solid legendary. We got ourselves an Ember Island Production. I must have done something wrong with this pack trick because the rare already came up. Creature token. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's not a legendary and it's a 4/4 hero. This is a huge hit. Or create a token that's a copy of target creature an opponent controls, except it's not legendary and it's a 2/2 coward. Either way, that's a really good card. Damn. Bitter Work. Decent enchantment. Whenever you attack a player with 1 or more creatures with power 4 or greater, you get to draw a card. So, I mean, in theory, you could get 3 cards per turn. And you can exhaust this to Earthbend 4. So that's decent all around. There's our ally token. And on the other side should be a clue. Cool. We got the meditation pools. Messenger Hawk is our hollow, which is a decent one. I do like that you get a clue token when it enters. Don't really care about the +2/+0 necessarily, but the flying is nice, and the clue is okay. And we got a Rise of Zo... Oh, no! I think we got the really good one! Destroy all creatures. Choose a card name. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards. Name that. Exile them. Couldn't care less about that part. Exile this and transform it, and it becomes a 5/5? Firelord Sozin! Firebending 3, 5/5. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you can pay X. When you do, put any number of target creature cards with total mana value X or less from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under. Okay, between that, the production, the Combustion Man, and the last Agni Kai, this pack kicked the living snot out of that first pack. Japan definitely takes the first point in this battle, 1-0. Can the Americans tie it up, or will this thing be a slaughterfest? That is the question. Let's skip this ad about dentures and go on.
The third point for me is more of a deck building philosophy that playing by myself helped me to develop, and that's to try out just random new cards in my decks almost every time I play them. I realize that people are at a huge disadvantage going against cards that they have never seen played before because they didn't even realize that that's a threat that or something that they should account for. An easy example of this is my Jolene the Plunder Queen deck. It's won several times from Voltron wins out of nowhere from Gold Rush. So if I attack a player with an important creature that they have on the board that they don't want to die, they usually don't block because they see my stack of treasures and they see Jolene's activated ability to get bigger, but they're seldom used to a 2-mana instant giving plus 30/+30 at instant speed. And since I was mostly playing by myself, I got in the habit of not having a set deck list that I was married to. If I found something in my bulk pile or my collection that I liked or thought would be fun to try out, I would throw it in and then I'd take out a card that I knew already performed very well. So if I knew from past playtesting that a card worked really well in the deck, I didn't need to goldfish it more because it was already a proven power. This method of switching out my tried and true staples of cards in my decks for cards that I had never seen or played before made me realize how much overlooked cards can actually perform super well in decks if you give it a shot. It's actually that same realization that encouraged me to make my first videos about unknown cards that were winning me games. So to summarize this point, your opponents do not have a perfect knowledge of your deck, which is a huge advantage for you. If you're at your LGS, yes, you will have a rule zero. You'll tell them how your deck wins or kind of what you plan to do, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be disclosing every single unknown card that they've never seen before. And so that's why a lot of the times those types of cards catch them off guard because they're not expecting their uncounterable last march of the Ents to be returned to hand with a failure to comply. I do think that this can also be applicable to pods that you play with all the time. Maybe you've already played with them for years and someone has seen your deck, your signature deck, 100 times. They know what's in it. There's nothing that stops you from switching out some of your known improving cards for a new card that they've never seen, which
failure to comply looks pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Because they've likely adjusted and switched up things in their deck for known cards that they know are played in your deck. And so if you switch things up after a year of playing it, then they likely won't see that coming. The fourth thing that I learned...
See, that's an interesting point too. But I mean, for me, I'm not as keen towards that point in terms of like, I don't care as much about that point as... While I find it interesting, it's just not something that I think will be overly applicable to me, is what I mean to say. In fact, it's so unapplicable that I'm actually having a hard time remembering exactly what the point was, and I just listened to it. The idea of switching up cards in my decks on a regular basis is something that I'm just not super keen on. My thing is, I tend to build decks as kind of like a living organism in my mind. So if I build a 100-card deck, if I'm going to take out a card from that, I need to make sure that whatever I'm putting in needs to be equal or better in terms of what I want to do with that deck. So, for example, if I have a deck that is focused on doing +1/+1 counter shenanigans, and I get a card that gives me 20 tokens if I put it into play, and it does happen to fit the right colors, sure, that would be an awesome card to slot in, but it doesn't really do anything with the actual goal of the deck per se, so I probably won't put that in my deck, even if it would possibly become an instant win con in the deck. It's just not necessarily what I want to do with that deck. A lot of my decks have, actually, I would say almost most. I would say most of my decks have at least say 5 to 10 cards that nobody has seen before that are very janky. Because I don't like running all the staples. I like running whatever I have laying around that feels like it fits, and that makes the deck feel like a completed living body. Um, when I think about Commander, the card that is the Commander, I'm building that Commander a home. I'm building that Commander an army. I'm building that Commander a persona. And so, for me personally, I'm not sure that I would actually bother with the whole switch up a new card in every time I play thing necessarily. But what I am going to commit to is whenever I build a new deck, that deck is going to get added into the rotation of decks that I'm going to be playing with throughout the year. And therefore, all of my decks will eventually get to see play. And whenever I go to improve those decks, it will be based on the fact that I'm enjoying playing with those ones. And that's a big thing that I want to do about this challenge that I'm putting towards myself too, with regards to following in this content creators plan, is I want to play all of my decks and see which ones I'm really enjoying playing versus which ones that I don't enjoy playing. And the ones that I don't enjoy playing, I might take them apart, but there's a better chance that I might try to find people who might want to buy them. And maybe in that way, I can make a little extra money towards my GoFundMe and whatever else. Um, because if I'm really not enjoying the deck, but I take apart the deck, it makes me really sad, to be honest. I've done that a few times in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where I built a deck that I thought I would really enjoy, and then I just did not end up liking the archetype, and I took it apart, and then I felt really bad having those cards sitting around, knowing that I bought all those cards to build a deck and to play with those cards, and then I'm not using those cards, and they're just sitting there not being enjoyed. And then I feel bad that there's lots of people out there who would love to have cards and don't have cards, and yeah. Speaking of which, I do eventually plan to go through all of this and all the stuff that I have in that cupboard, and I want to try and get out. My goal is to keep a minimum of 10 copies of any card, but anything that I have more than 10 copies of, except outside of lands, of course, I would love to put together as like a bulk thing and like donate to a school or something. I think that would be really fun. So that's a project that I have for myself at some point this year as well. Probably whenever I get my first week of vacation from work this year, I will work on that. But I think that that's something that I would really enjoy. And so yeah. Anyways, on to point number 4.
Playing Magic by myself for over a year actually seems kind of ironic, and that's I learned how to politic better. So, funny enough, isolation actually helped me improve the social aspects of my gameplay. So, when I played by myself, I had a perfect knowledge of everyone's game plan, of everyone's hands, everything. But despite that perfect info, I did make a huge effort to play based on only information available on the board. I know this perfect knowledge is not replicable in a real life game, but this got me in the habit of analyzing.
So I'm stopping this here for 2 reasons. One, I've had a very similar experience to this in regards to my playing Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day, by myself a lot. And while it didn't teach me necessarily to politic better, what it did teach me to do is it taught me to have more guile about my plays. Having perfect knowledge of both sides of the game in a 2 deck battle, um, but not trying to act upon that perfect knowledge, becomes very challenging in how you set up plays on the board to try to catch the stuff that you think you know is coming and that you actually know is coming, but you have to play as though you don't know it's coming, which is a really, I know that's a very complex way of saying it, but let me put it to you this way. If I were playing Yu-Gi-Oh against Kaiba, and Kaiba is going to obviously not be able to actually play the game, so he's serving as like the avatar for the opposite side of the contest. I know everything that is in Kaiba's hand. I know everything that he's going to put down on the field. But I have to pretend to play when I play my stuff for my hand as though I don't know that stuff. I try to play as he does in this situation based on what I see available only. And therefore, it taught me to be more sneaky about how I make my plays and about how I set my traps up and things of that nature. And I suspected that I will have a very similar experience in regards to politicking as well as what he did. But I think it goes beyond politicking. I think it goes to just strategizing as a whole, which I think is really a valuable thing.
The board and studying other people's game plans as opposed to just tunnel visioning on what I want to do the next turn and maybe the turn after that, or how I'm going to use my 8 mana next turn to do X, then Y, then attack with this and that. So interestingly enough, playing by myself did teach me that aspect of kind of understanding or looking out for what other people care about and living in the moment as opposed to tuning things out to my inner monologue. When I started to do this, I became much more aware about what other people care about, and I learned to see from their perspective. And this helped me to strike up deals to help each other move forward our game plans in a way that doesn't harm me. So yes, I would politic with myself. I'm glad that my wife never saw me doing this because to a third person view, it's actually
I have every intention of doing this when I start doing playing four decks of Commander against myself. I am totally going to be talking to myself out loud and answering myself and making deals with myself. And
aspect of me playing by myself was actually easier when I started playing in real life again, because when I played by myself, I knew the motives behind the politic offer. So oftentimes I rejected it. But in real life, people see that you're willing to make a good deal for them, and half the times they don't even question or take the time to think about why that's helpful to you. So yeah, they're getting a treasure token or they're getting a card draw out of it. Great, I won't attack you. It sounds, yeah, interesting, but politicking has actually become one of my favorite aspects of the game, and I believe one of the reasons why it has helped me to improve my win rates is that I now actively look for deals. The trick is just to offer. I used to never even extend offers because I wasn't used to searching for cards or for that social aspect when I was deck building. And the last...
I forgot to open the pack between points 3 and 4. So we will do the second American pack now, and then we will go back to the video. I'm just going to make sure it doesn't cut back in on us because... There. Okay. So second pack of the Americans cards. Let's see if they can answer back, because I don't think we're going to pull something better than Rise of Sozin, to be honest. I think Rise of Sozin might be the card of the day, guys. I am really stoked about this one. First off, the destroy all creatures is just fun. I love that kind of nonsense. But I like that getting people stuff back from their graveyards, that's going to be freaking fun. That is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really stoked about playing that in my firebending deck, actually, when I build that. Alright, kicking us off, we've got Deadly Precision. Cast, you pay for or sacrifice an artifact or creature to destroy a creature. Okay. Another first time flyer. We pulled that enough times. Another Water Tribe Captain. Actually, we didn't pull that one yet. But that one's really expensive to get the abilities, so it's not super worth it. Another Pillar Launch. That one we did pull. Another Fire Nation Cadets. That's 3 for 3 packs. We pulled Fire Nation Cadets. If we pull another Fire Nation Cadets in this pack, I'm going to completely freak out. Whoop, double reveal by accident. My bad, sorry. Hopefully you guys didn't see too much. Cat Owl. Just remember there was a Cat Owl here. Please don't ignore the Cat Owl because it's precious. But we definitely just got something cool. We got Beastmaster Ascension. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on this enchantment. As long as this enchantment has 7 or more quest counters on it, creatures you control get +5/+5. Damn! Plus, this is actually one of my favorite scenes in the show. When Aang has the discussion with the giant turtle, the lion turtle. It's easily one of my favorite, like, things in the entire show. And he, like, learns the lesson that he doesn't have to, like, kill Ozai. Spoilers. Um, it's easily one of my favorite things. So that definitely scores some huge points on the board. Invasion tactics. When this thing enters, creatures get +2/+2. Whenever one of our allies deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Yeah. I wish the first part lasted longer, but at least you're still getting card draw for your allies. So that's not bad. Team Avatar. Nice to pull another copy of this. This is a really good enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Pay 2 and a white, discard this, which I'm not going to do damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature, which is why I won't do it. Ooh, we got another copy of Hama. Perfect. Hama is actually one of my favorite cards that I pulled so far in this set. When it enters, target opponent mills 3 cards, exile up to 1 non-creature, non-land card from that player's graveyard. For as long as you control Hama, you can cast the exiled card during your turn by waterbending X rather than paying its mana cost, where X is its mana value. Insanely good. Insanely good. We got another Solstice Revelations too, which is a really good lesson card. Exile cards from the top of your library into your exile non-land card. You can cast it without paying its mana cost if the spell's mana value is less than the number of mountains you control. If you don't cast that card, you can put it into your hand, and this thing has flashback. Really solid card. We got Yue! The Moon Spirit! Nice! Flying Vigilant 3/3. 3 and a blue, and she has Waterbend 5. Tap, you can cast a non-creature spell from your hand without paying. This thing has Omniscience! That's insane! Ooh, this was a really good pack. The Americans struck back hard. Iguana Parrot for the Hollow, which is still a really good one, even that. Flying Vigilance and Prowess, that's an insanely stacked card for 2 and a blue. Our land is Misty Palms Oasis. And our token is a food or a dragon. Both of which are awesome. But that pack definitely had some huge stuff in it. Now, is it as amazing as Firelord Sozin? I don't know. But I mean, I think UA might be the better card. I mean, that pack had some serious fire to it too. Like, I'm really happy with that pack too. We are doing solid, guys, on the polls today for Avatar. Can we end, though, on the highest of high notes, is my question. We are still looking for that 5-color flip Avatar. Last point.
And the last lesson that I learned by playing Magic by myself for a year was a lesson on threat assessment. And that's a scary creature isn't necessarily scary until it's going after you. In fact, a scary creature going after your shared enemy is your temporary friend. So don't just remove stuff because you happen to have the removal spell in your hand. If it is sorcery speed, maybe consider a different instant speed removal spell so you're not forced to make that decision
You coming back up?
on your turn before they even have the chance to prove that they are against your shared enemies. So the reason why this lesson was exacerbated by playing 4 commander decks by myself is I knew all the insane threats that were in my hand that were not on the board. And I knew that there's always something bigger or scarier that could pop in.
There you go.
So yeah, that Blightsteel Colossus isn't a threat to you until it's actually attacking you and you don't have any ways to block it or mitigate that damage. Just because you have a Swords to Plowshares in your hand doesn't mean you should use it right away. In fact, you'd be surprised at how often it will swing at other people and can take out another player and thus increase your odds of winning with one less player on the board. And many times, you'll find that other people end up removing the threat before it is a threat to you. And now you still have that Swords to Plowshares in your hand, and the threat is gone. Or let's say a Shieldred the Apocalypse. It's not, yeah, it does hurt you, but it's not your immediate enemy, if you're not drawing a ton of cards, or if you're in a life gain deck that can mitigate the damage done to you, while your opponents are over there reeling at the amount of life that they've lost. So these are just some examples. Yes, some creatures pose an immediate threat to every player, and those should be taken into consideration. Or yes, that Shieldred can make itself an enemy to you very easily, but I just say these at face value. You don't have to always use a removal on the Boogeyman cards if they're not an immediate threat to you or your path to winning. And many times, like I said, your opponents will find it much more annoying than you before you do and use their removal on it. I still love to pull out decks and play against myself, and I take 4 decks when I travel for work to play in the hotel at night after meetings, but I don't think it will ever get to the same degree that I did during this unique time of my life. None of this information is novel per se, but they are glaring observations that I made when I started to play with people again that has helped me to have a higher win rate than ever before despite
I'm going to cut it off there because I think we've got his points. And I think that his video was a really good and very interesting video. I think that you guys. I'm curious to see how many other people would be interested in trying this out and seeing how they would feel about it. I recently acquired my 4th playmat, so I can actually put out 4 separate playmats on my bed and play Commander against myself. I'm kind of excited to do this, to be perfectly honest. And I am considering filming some of it for you guys. Or at the very least, I'm going to keep you up to date on how it's going. I got this day planner as part of my Christmas gift. Every year, my family, somebody in my family, whether it be one of my aunts, my mom, or my dad, it doesn't matter, but somebody in my family always gives me a day planner every year. And it takes everything I have not to laugh at whoever it is, not because I don't appreciate the thought, but because I just never use these. I'm not as organized as I need to be for my to combat my ADHD. Whenever I write down the things that I'm trying to organize for and I don't meet those goals, I get way more depressed than I do if I just create a list in my head, and then if I miss something, I miss something. It's not as bad. Whereas if it's written down, it's like it's set in stone that I was supposed to do this, and if I didn't do this, I get really hard on myself. So instead of using this for that, I'm thinking I'm going to use this to keep track of my commander battles. I don't really care about the times on the side necessarily, but every page in here is a day where I could put down like a commander battle or two that I did. I'm not going to play that often per se, but I'm hoping to play like 2 or 3 games a week. Would be fun. If this little one over here will cooperate with me. And in that way, at least, I'm not leaving home, so I'm not leaving him, which means it'll help me with my separation anxiety and him with his separation anxiety. But it'll also let me get back into the game, and eventually will lead me back into playing online more, I'm hoping. But, yeah, that is the idea, and I think it's a really fun one. So my plan going forward, if I do pursue this, is I'm going to pick 4 decks at random each time I play, and I'll do it by like a dice roll or something like that. I'm only going to pick decks that I've already updated and put into there for now, but I will eventually start including the decks that are back here that are waiting for updates as well, and then as I do, I will probably try and update those decks as well, and yeah. Basically, right now, I have somewhere in the neighborhood of somewhere between, let's say, 30 and 40 commander decks, including all the precons. If you took away the precons, I still have probably somewhere between 25 and 30 decks of just like builds or upgraded precons that I have, not counting sealed ones. So, I think that this would be a really fun challenge for me, and I think that it could make for some very interesting content if you guys are interested in seeing
playing less optimal cards than
a crazy guy play
I think if you are currently in
a crazy guy play 4 decks of cards at the same time. Yeah, I'm gonna close this out now before he comes back on again by accident. Cause while I will say one more time, amazing video, unpopular MTG. I will be giving you credit for this in the description as well. Wow. It's only done 18% of my computer so far. I have my virus scanner trying to do a full scan on my computer because it's been acting a little slow again. And this one I only bought like this past year, so I'm surprised it's already so slow. I have filled up about half the space on the computer, which means I'm probably going to have to delete a bunch of videos off of there, but still, really shocked. Anyways, last pack from Japan. See if we can get a victory here. I'm not even going to bother trying to rip the proper seal. I'm just going to do the cheat on the side again, because I had way too hard a time with that last pack. Try to do the pack trick without cheating. Token, land, hollow, good card. In theory, the next 4 should be uncommons, but I'm going to take the one that's here and I'm going to put it to the back of the uncommons just in case it's actually an extra rare or a mythic. And here we go. We're starting with Glider Kids. If I remember correctly, this was actually supposed to be a blue card, if I remember correctly, but it came in as a white card or something like that. It's in a Jumpstart pack that it doesn't fit with because it doesn't have the right mana to play it, which I think is funny. Next up, Daily Indoctrination. 1 in a black. Target opponent reveals their hand. You can choose a non-land card from it. Or non-land permanent card from it, sorry. They have to discard it, or you can Earthbend 2. Probably going to Earthbend 2, but I do like the option of looking at people's hands, so nice card. Rowdy Snowballers? Enters tap. When this creature enters, tap target creature and opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. It's not bad. A little expensive, but not bad. Abandoned Attachments. We pulled that a couple times, and I do like this one. Other than the fact that you have to put in a deck that has blue and red minimum for now, until they decide to change the rules. But even if they change the rules in the next year, if I do this project that I want to do, which I'm planning to regardless, but if you guys see me doing this project that I'm planning to do, I'm not going to change that color-based rule for my deck building strategies. I just don't like the idea that this now becomes an or and can be included in either kind of deck for Commander. That just feels wrong to me. Turtle Duck! I do like Turtle Duck, it's cute. 1 green for a 0/4, but you can pay 3 and give it base power 4 and trample until end of turn, which is pretty solid. Firebending Lesson, kicker 4, 1 red. Deals 2 damage, but if it was kicked, it deals 5. Foggy Swamp Bender. This one, or Foggy Swamp Vinebender. I'm going to say that this pack is not looking as good as the first pack was, so the Americans might have a shot still. The Waterbend 5 is kind of annoying. To put 1 counter on it, it seems really sad. Especially because you only do it on your turn. Invasion Tactics, 4 in a green. This is the one we just pulled in the other pack. It's, again, it's decent enough, but if you don't have allies in your deck, it really doesn't get you anything on that second ability whatsoever. Tiger Dillo, 1 in a red for Cat Armadillo, 4/3. Can't attack or block unless you control another creature with power 4 or greater. That kind of sucks. I'm surprised that made it into an uncommon slot. Aw, this is a really sad one. It always makes me a little sad seeing this one. That's Monk Gyatso in the back here, who died fighting all the firebenders at the Southern Air Temple. Black and white. When it enters, create a clue token. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent on your turn, create a 1/1 ally creature token. Only happens once per turn, but it's still an amazing card for sure. Ooh, we pull Bossing Say. Enters tapped unless you control a basic land. Taps for green. Pay 2 in a green. Tap. Earthbend 2. Nice! This is huge! I do want to build an actual Earth Kingdom, like, Earthbending land deck, if I possibly can too. If I get enough cards for it. So, that is a big hit. I'm really happy with that one. And like I was said, we got an extra rare that means in this pack, which is pretty nice. So we got our ally here and a clue. Our land is a Sunblessed Peak. So Bossing Say. You are also a land, much better land, but we have 2 now. Oop. Accidental reveal. White Lotus Hideout. Colorless. Any mana. 1 mana, spend it to cast a lesson or a shrine, though. Or pay 1 and tap to add 1 of any color. And... Ooh! Iroh Grand Lotus. I'm not sure if I pulled him yet. 3 green and blue and red. Firebending 2 during your turn. Each non-lesson instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback. During your turn, each lesson card in your graveyard has flashback 1. Huh. Oh, each non-lesson instant and sorcery has flashback. Okay. That makes more sense. Really cool. Solid card to end on. I'm not sure if I pulled him yet. I don't think I have, so I'm pretty happy with that. But I actually think the best card in that pack might be the Bossing Say, to be honest. That is a really sick land. Snoop will be happy for me to actually announce that I think a land might have the best pull. That said, I don't know if the Americans got this or the Japanese got this. These are both really stacked 2-packs. Might actually have to do a 3rd pack of each to decide this, to be honest, because this is so tight. Ripping a 3rd pack might be really bad, though, because this video is already 1 hour and 20 minutes long. I'm not sure if anybody's actually going to sit through this. Alright, let's do a quick tally and see. We got the Bossing Say, we got the Iroh. I'm going to say the Tolls of War is a pretty solid card. And then we also got the Rise of Sozin, the Ember Island production. I'll include the White Lotus Lesson too, why not? Combustion Man and the Last Agni Kai. And I'm going to include the Bitter Work. And, do I include the Warden? No, I'm not going to include the Warden. Still, though. So, for the Japanese, quick review, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That I would say are pretty solid hits. From the Americans, we got the UA, we got the Solace, we got the Hama. Oop. UA, don't mix into the wrong pile. I think the Parrot's even really good, and I'm pretty happy with the Beastmaster session. I think that's an insane pull. I'm not sure if that's worth a bunch or not, but I think that might be the best one in terms of like the reprint list. We got the Heibai as well. We got the Ruinous Waterbending, which I think is an insanely good card. I like the Honest Work as well. I don't know, guys. We even got another Hakoda, too. Like, I think this is pretty much an even hit. Even set. I think regardless of whether you pull the American side or whether you pull the Japanese packs, you're getting some decent stuff. And this is definitely one of my favorite sets of Magic, by far. Like, setting aside actual, like, in-universe Magic sets, this and Lord of the Rings are my 2 favorite sets of all time. Including in Magic Universe sets, in-universe Magic sets, I think Bloomburrow might actually be my favorite set of all time, to be perfectly honest. Despite how much Lord of the Rings I've pulled and how much Avatar I've pulled recently, I really, really love Bloomburrow. And Phyrexia Albi one is actually a really good set for me too. I love that set too. But anyways, I'm not going to rip a 3rd pack of each. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to leave you guys with a shot of Kaiba. And I'm going to thank you for tuning in to this very long video where I did a whole bunch of updating stuff. And we talked about a whole bunch of stuff that's going to happen on the channel in the near future. And where we pulled some really fun cards. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. From Kaiba here, and myself to you, thank you for watching. Much love to you all. Enjoy your weekends. whatever's left of them, because I'm not sure when I'm going to post this. And do remember that there will be no videos other than possibly some Kaiba stuff between now and at least Tuesday. If not, possibly I might not even do anything until new set versus old set on Thursday. Alright, thanks guys. Appreciate all the love and support. Please share the GoFundMe if you can, or donate if you can. And that's all I got for you.